Hare Krishna, our beloved listeners. Okay, so let us start then. Om Agyan Timidandras Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamani Dadati Swapadantina Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakam Shri Guru Vaishnavas Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Saviva Sadvaitam Savadvitam Parivana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsya Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyagadi Pashyatadi Shuddharini नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदाय कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरकृष्ण हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृपं करोति वाचालं कायेन यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं Hare Krishna. So we were reading sixth canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I believe we had read up till text 40. So today we'll begin with text 41. Canto 6, chapter 1, text 41. येन स येन स्वधाम्नि आमिभाव रजासत्त्वा तमोमया गुणानामक्रियारूपे विभाव्यन्ते यथा तथम्. The supreme cause of all causes, Narayana, is situated in his own abode in the spiritual world. But nevertheless, he controls the entire cosmic manifestation according to the three modes of the material nature, Satoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. In this way, all the living entities are awarded different qualities, different names, such as Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, different duties according to the Varnashrama institution, and different forms. Thus, Narayana is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. Perfect. The Vedas inform us न तस्य कार्यं कारणं च विद्यते न तत्समाश्चाव्याधिकाश्च दृश्यते परास्य शक्तिर्विविधैव श्रूयते स्वभावकी ज्ञानगुणक्रिया च. Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is almighty, omnipotent. He has multifarious energies, and therefore He is able to remain in his own abode and without endeavor supervise and manipulate the entire cosmic manifestation through the interaction of the three modes of material nature, Satoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. These interactions create different forms, bodies, activities, and changes, which all occur perfectly. Because the Lord is perfect, everything works as if He were directly supervising and taking part in it. Atheistic men, however, being covered by the three modes of material nature, cannot see Narayana to be the supreme cause behind all activities. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:13, Tribhirgunamayirbhavir evi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Because unintelligent agnostics are mohited, illusion by the three modes of material nature, they cannot understand that Narayana, Krishna, is the supreme cause of all activities. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karan. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. So this is the Yamadutas answering the question of the Vishnu. Yena Shradhamne Amibhava Rajana Satta Tamomaya. Srila Prabhupada begins with the verse Shruta Shrutar Upanishad na tasya karyam karanam tavidvati na tassamasya sadhishyate parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate स्वभावतीर्यं बलक्रिया च. So Srila Prabhupada used to say that we cannot expect God to take a chisel and a hammer and carve out the material world. So the Lord doesn't function in that way. The Lord does everything in a seamless fashion. And Krishna lived Govardhan. I think the first time the painting of the Krishna lifting Govardhan uh, was made, and Krishna had very big muscles. And Prabhupada said, no, not like this. Krishna lifting Govardhan very easily, not with having muscles and somehow like a weightlifting champion. Not like that. So the Lord performs extraordinary activities in a seamless manner. That's what is being described here. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. And the Lord's multifarious energies are working in such a way so as to bring about or manifest everything as if everything is happening automatically with the slightest of the endeavors. The Lord is able to make everything happen. So Lord Krishna lifted Govardhan, Bhagavatam gives the analogy, it's like a small child lifts up a mushroom, picks up and lifts up a mushroom. Like that, the Lord lifted Govardhan seamlessly, effortlessly. So that's what being said, Swabhava ki jnana balakriya cha. On its own, just by the desire of the Supreme Lord, everything is working out as if on its own in this material world. So Maya Shakti manifests in this world. Maya Shakti manifests in this world through the three modes of material nature. So there were these large multifarious energies are manifesting through the three modes of material nature. But Krishna is aloof from these three modes. So the world affairs are no doubt carried out by these three modes, right? Gunya, Vishaya, Veda, Nishraya, Gunya, Bhavajana. So, but by taking shelter of Krishna, one goes out of the three modes. So, simply by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, a tiny insignificant jiva can also go out of the shackles of these modes. How can Krishna be affected by the modes? Krishna is 100% aloof from the modes. As I said, Mohitam Nabhijanati Mamebhya Param Avyayam. People who are atheistic, materialistic, they cannot see Krishna behind the three modes. Why? Because we see that the network of the modes itself is so complex that to crack and understand that itself is beyond the capacity or beyond our intellectual capacities. What to say of uh, understanding the Supreme Lord behind the three modes? That understanding is hidden by illusion, owing to materialistic atheistic attitude. Krishna is aloof from the three modes, and that is why he said Krishna is Parameshwara. Through the modes, the living entity gets controlled in different ways. Even the demigods are controlled by the modes. But who controls the modes? That is the Supreme Lord Himself. And then the Himadatas are also describing that the differences between the living entities are only because of acquiring different modes. Because different modes lead to different bodily features, forms, mindset, likings, duties. Different people in different modes need different Different paths are established for people in different modes because, and therefore, Varnashram divisions are based on the psychophysical nature of the people. So, thus it is being said here that Lord Narayana is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. We can also see that what we get attracted to and what we get repulsed by very much depends on the modes which we are in. That is why to give up sense gratification, we have to actually change the mode. Because if one remains in the mode of passion and ignorance, then one cannot give up attachment to sense gratification. How can one? Because attachments, aversion, these are all decided by the modes. So if one is clinging on to Rajaguna Sabdas and Tamaguna, then one will find oneself helpless at the hands of sense objects. So therefore, the change of modes is essential. And by taking shelter of Lord Narayana, who's beyond these modes, one can achieve that state. Let's read further then. सूर्योऽग्निखं मरुद्देवा सोमः सन्ध्याः नीतिशा कां कुः स्वयं धर्म इति है एते दह्यस्य साक्षिणः the sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and the supersoul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. So all of them witness the activities of the living entity. Oh, but the members of some religious sects, especially Christians, do not believe in the reactions of karma. We once had a discussion with a learned Christian professor who argued that although people are generally punished after the witness of their misdeeds are examined, who are the witness responsible for one's suffering, the reactions of past karma? To such a person, the answer by the Yamadutas is given here. A conditioned soul thinks that he is working stealthily and that no one can see his sinful activities. But we can understand from the Shastra that there are many witnesses, including the sun, fire, sky, air, moon, demigods, day, evening, night, directions, water, land, and the Supersoul himself, who sits with the individual soul within his heart. Where is the dearth of witnesses? The witnesses and the Supreme Lord both exist, and therefore, so many living entities are elevated to higher planetary systems or degraded to lower planetary systems, including hellish planets. There are no discrepancies, for everything is arranged perfectly by the management of the Supreme God. Sabha, Reaction. The witnesses mentioned in this verse are also mentioned in other Vedic literature. आदित्यचन्द्रामणिलो नभश्च द्वैर्भूमिरापो हृदयं यमश्च आहश्च रात्रिश्च उभे च सन्ध्ये धर्मोऽपि जानाति नरस्य विद्वान्. Hmm. So here the Yamalukas are talking about the witnesses. Every action of every living entity is being recorded. Mm.
Haribol?
Yes. The sun, the fire, the sky, the air, the demigods, moon, the evening, the day and night, directions, water, land, supersoul, himself, all witness the activities of living entity. So we can see, this we are hearing from the vision of the Yamadutas. And because the Yamadutas only deal with these karmakandi calculations, then they're only able to see that yes, every living entity is being watched everywhere, and therefore the karma algorithms can never commit mistakes, and therefore no one can escape one's bias and sinful activities. And no one can cheat, and no one can hide because there are so many witnesses. This is the point which they like to make. Now, because uh, The Yamaduta's eyes can only deal with or understand the language of karma and good credit, bad credit, bias, and impious karma. That's why they are only able to spot out these witnesses. But actually, Krishna is everywhere in this universe. In every atom, the space between atoms. So who can see that? That only a devotee can see the salve of love. That's the point. So, mind it, Krishna is not just a witnessing God who is just taking notes and database. Krishna is a very active guy because the moment he gets involved in the lives of his devotees, Krishna is not just watching, but he gets involved in the lives of his devotees. So, Krishna is very active and very eager to help the devotees. So, the picture is not just of a witness, but the picture is that of a facilitator who is always there by the side of the living, who is always working hard towards the deliverance of the living. So, the fact that Lord is witnessing us from all sides and all directions, that can be frightening to somebody who has not developed love for Krishna. But for a devotee, again, this point is very hope giving. Because the devotee understand that everywhere Krishna is there. Ito Narsimha, Parato Narsimha, Yato Tayami Tato Narsimha. So the Supreme Lord is there everywhere. So because Krishna is everywhere, therefore Krishna's mercy, Krishna's help and Krishna's directions can be very easily attained simply by taking shelter of Krishna, helplessly, indirectly. So the point that Krishna is there everywhere is uh, so the vision of love is very encouraging because one finds Krishna's hand, Krishna's support, Krishna's mercy in every undertaking. So such a devotee can very confidently march towards serving Krishna. Okay, let's read further. So this concept may be frightening for a materialistic person. Whereas a devotee, this concept is very ecstatic. For the devotee, also, I'll be able to interface Krishna in so many ways. So for the devotee, it is it's, let's read further. 43. एतेरधर्मो विज्ञा विज्ञानतः स्थानां दण्डस्य युज्यते सर्वे कर्मानुरोधेन दण्डम् अर्हन्ति कारिणः The candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses who have deviated from. So the candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses to have deviated from their prescribed regulative duties. If everyone engaged in fruitive activities is suitable to be subjected to punishment according to his sinful activities. See, which how to do the same. So whomever is confirmed by these witnesses, such a person will be part. Takes 40. सम्भवन्ति हि भद्राणि विपर्तितानि चानघ कारिणां गुणसङ्गोऽस्ति देहवान् न ह्यकर्म कृत् O inhabitants of Vaikuntha, you are sinless, but those within this material world are all karmis, whether acting piously or impiously. Both kinds of action are possible for them because they are contaminated by the three modes of nature and must act accordingly. See what he's saying? He's saying one who has accepted a material body cannot be inactive, and sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of material nature. So one who has accepted the material body cannot be inactive. And sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of material nature. Yeah, so person cannot be inactive, therefore the person will act. But when a person is under the modes, the person will act in sinful ways. So therefore, all the living entities within this material world are punishable. Purpose. The difference between human beings and non-human beings is that a human is supposed to act according to the direction of the Vedas. Unfortunately, men manufacture their own ways of acting without reference to the Veda. Therefore, all of them commit sinful actions and are punishable. Yes. So action is compulsory for the living. No one can be inactive. But when one is taking shelter of the modes, this this sinful action is very difficult to give up. And therefore, by default, such an infinity. Yes. So we can clearly see, we see when the uh, see the difference when acharyas and pure devotees are praying to Krishna, and now when the Yamnutas are talking, there is so much of a difference.
Haribol?
Yes. So in this way, we see that the vision which the Yamadutas are presenting is that okay, the modes are the top modes because once one acquires the modes, one is helplessly forced to act like that. See, this is where they are going wrong. They are not able to understand that Krishna's powers are beyond the modes. This is exactly where they are going wrong because Krishna's powers are beyond the modes. And therefore, when we take shelter of bhakti, the modes are dissolved and resolved. So this lesson the Yamadutas have not learned. So that's why they are establishing on the highest, loftiest altar, they're establishing the modes. Okay, therefore the person in modes is shackled in this way. So that is why we will see that uh, as practicing sadhakas, we can see that. So to counteract the modes, inactivity is never a solution because one who is inactive uh, will be pulled towards action. And what kind of action? Depending on what modes one is acquired. So, uh, so one cannot remain inactive, but the modes are very strong. So, but the principle is that one can leave doing material activities by adding spiritual activities to the Supreme Lord. So that is why it is said that when one performs bhakti, we are connecting to the power of the Supreme Lord. So only by this engagement of the spiritual activities does the grip or the shackle, the rope shackling, the jiva soul gets into bits. So, so actually, the problem is the point is this that when one is not able to see the supreme cause of all causes, one only has some intermediary viewpoint. Then the entire vision of the whole world will be very horrifying and bizarre. But when one is able to see Krishna, one can be peaceful and happy in any situation. That's the point. Okay, let's see further. What do you call it? येन यावान्यथा धर्मो वेह समिहितः स एव तत्फलं भुङ्क्ते तथा तावत् अमुत्र वै. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions. Mm. So, in proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. So, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, this is 14th chapter, 18th verse. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्तः मध्यन्ते तिष्ठन्ति राजसः जगन्यगुणवृत्तिस्तः अधो गच्छन्ति तामसः. This is Bhagavad Gita 14:18. Those who act in the mode of goodness are promoted to the higher planetary systems to become demigods. Those who act in an ordinary way and do not commit excessively sinful activities remain within this material planetary system. And those who Mm, mm. So here the purpose is being described that according to most different practitioners will have different destinations. Mm. Okay, let's read further. 46. यतेह देव प्रावरास् त्रैविध्यम् उपलभ्यते भूतेषु गुणः वैचित्र्या तथान्यत्र अनुमीयते. Obeys to the demigods. We can see three different varieties of life, which are due to the contamination of the three modes of material nature. So here, Amrita is saying, obeys to the demigods. We can see three different varieties of life, which are due to the contamination of the three modes of material nature. The living entities are thus known as peaceful, restless, and foolish, as happy, unhappy, or in between, such as, or as irreligious and semi religious. We can reduce that in the next slide. So we can reduce that in the next slide. Uh, these three kinds of material nature with hmm, so the peaceful, yeah, the happy, the restless, the unhappy, and in between the foolish people. But the actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature are visible in this life. For example, some people are very happy, some are very distressed, some are in a mixed state of happiness and distress. This is the result of past association with the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Since these varieties are visible in this life, we may assume that the living entities, according to their association with the three modes of material nature, be happy. See, since these varieties are visible in this life, we may assume that the living entities, according to their association with the different modes of mental nature, will be happy, distressed, or between the two in their next lives also. Therefore, the best policy is to dissociate oneself from the modes. Hmm. But Prabhupada makes a point here that this process of dissociating oneself from the three modes of mental nature, and Prabhupada is saying here very powerfully that this dissociation of oneself with the three modes of mental nature, yes. So this dissociation from the three modes of material nature and to remain always so this dissociation is only possible when one fully engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Then Prabhupada is quoting 14.26 Mam Chayo Abhivicharena Bhakti Yogena Saguna Samapitita.
Haribol?
Yes. So no doubt the pull of the material nature is very strong. But then here it is being described, and when we talk about Mamcha Yoga Vicharina, that when one does seriously and sincerely the practices of bhakti, it burns away all these pulls of the moons. So here mentions in the purport further. So therefore one has to practice bhakti, otherwise one is a helpless puppet in the hands of the mode. But mind if the modes are acquired by the living entity himself. So let's read further then. Here it is being described as one who engages in full devotion to service, who does not fall down under any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the spiritual platform. Unless one is fully absorbed in the service of the Lord, one is subject to the contamination of the three modes of material nature, and must therefore suffer from distress. So, unless one is fully absorbed in the service of the Lord, one is subject to the contamination of. One is therefore suffer from distress at mixed happiness and distress. So, full absorption in the service of the Supreme Lord. Right? Yes. So the price we have to pay is that full absorption. This, yeah. So intense nothing is required to break off the pull, the gravitation of these walls. Jai Shri Shri Jai Chan Gulchan Bhagwan Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharaj Sudarshan Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Mm. So here we can see the so we were reading the other day uh, that how the karma, see, karma is formidable as we are discussing in MSc again. Uh, so as long as one is not fortunate enough to get introduced to the practice of bhakti, karma algorithms are all in all. But when one gets introduced, that marks a new chapter of auspiciousness to that person. So therefore, the Bhagavad mentioned that so, so it is explained there that even the karmic reactions. So by the practice of bhakti, the karmic reaction catalog is burnt off. So therefore, we see that bhakti liberates a person beyond the modes. So that is why the acharyas explain that therefore the modes in themselves are of secondary nature, subservient to the, and therefore a person doesn't have to worry so much what is the equation of the modes. All one needs to do is, so bhakti can wash it off. Therefore, the sinful reaction uh, is or one's karma is not foolproof, because by little bit bhakti also the karma can be painted. So therefore karma is not an ultimate principle. So whatever permutation and combination of karma is there, everything can be taken care of simply by the practice of bhakti. So therefore, if the you see that what I see that we have this introduction to the principles of bhakti. But suppose if there is no introduction to the principles of bhakti, then actually karma is extremely shackling and stifling, and it is very complex also.
Haribol.
Yes. Okay, let's read further. So one remains transcendental to the contamination of by the most by full engagement in devotion and service. Next 47. Let's read 47. Vartamano अन्ययो कालो गुणाभिघ्नापको यदा एवं जन्मान्ययोरेत धर्मधर्मानिदर्शनम्. Just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of spring times in the past and future, so this life of happiness, distress, or a mixture of both gives evidence concerning the religious and irreligious activities of one's past and future lives. See, our past and future are not very difficult to understand, for time is under the contamination of the three modes of material nature. As soon as spring arrives, the usual exhibition of various types of fruits and flowers automatically become manifest. And therefore, we will conclude that spring in the past was adorned with similar fruits and flowers, and will be so adorned in the future also. Our repetition of birth and death is taking place within time.
Yes.
Yes, our repetition of birth and death is taking place within time. And according to the influence of modes of nature, we are receiving various types of bodies and being subjected to various conditions. Yes. So these are all fruited calculations and fruited equations, which so we can clearly see how the Yamadutas, their mindset is not going beyond karma because of lack of devotion. So they are not able to go beyond karma. So all their viewpoints are simply centered around this one aspect of karma, this one aspect of. So the idea of sinful reactions is a very strong idea, and it is impossible to overcome that idea. So. Uh, So here we see how much focus is there on calculating, okay, what is one's proclivity at this point in time, and how to enhance one's obsession. Uh, devotee is not too much interested in the details of one's predicament. See, Prabhupada would say that, okay, the drowning person should not keep thinking about, how I fell, how I am drowning. No, the drowning person should think of some help. How can I attract help? How can come out of the drowning? Hmm. Hmm. So the devotee is not too much interested in tracing out the answers. The devotee is able to understand, and understanding this, the devotee tries to increase on one's intensity of spiritual. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop here for today. We'll continue further discussion from today we covered till 47, so from 48 onwards, continue next class. Hari Bol.
हरी बोल, शिल प्रभात की जय।
Bye. International Bhagavatam ki jai. People. Yes. Yeah, because the Yamadutas had never expressed interest, so Yamaraj could not have spoken more. Yamadutas also have the sinful kind of proclivity because of that they had gotten this body. So that is why they are very natural being so cruel to people.